On today's show, we are going to get into some NBA stock options. We're buying, we're selling, we're assigning value to things.
I'm going to be a gambler today. I'm ready. We're buying
ready.
shares.
We're diving into it. We got a whole new system that we finally figured out. It took us 3 years. We finally figured out how to do this system. We're going to do it on today's Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor at Mavs.com, the weekend warrior, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Well, I was not present for the post-game pod on Friday.
Well, that's true.
For the Clippers victory, let's go. And I had two thoughts. One,
bring it.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, it was so
moving pretty good right now. Moving pretty good. Eugene Omoruyi.
MVP.
I just want to say this. Can we enjoy who he is without trying to figure out his comp, like a Hall of Fame comp. Like that's my only thing that when we get into this mode of like Josh Green or Omoruyi, where we have these like young flyer guys, we have to like try to set this bar of like, oh, they're going to be this guy. And it's like, no, let's enjoy this moment before we think he's like, the next Wilt Chamberlain or something. And
I don't even see the Draymond Green comparison. That's the one people are making. And I guess he's a little bit shorter, but for like a wing, but I don't know. I don't see it.
I mean, he's a bigger body and like he could play like a small ball 5 thing. And
that's not a great passer. Small ball 5, I guess. I mean, he's not defending like Draymond.
But even like outside of Omoruyi, we try to put a lot of people into that Draymond Green. I mean, Ben Simmons. It's like Ben Simmons is not Draymond either. So it's just a different. Draymond's so unique, and everyone's looking where we all look for that next 2.0 Draymond. But I just want to, in one sense, I was super excited for Omoruyi. I'm like, let's go, really excited for him. And then I feel like the fan base expectations for him is just like going so high. I'm like, okay, well, he's still a two-way guy. He's still not going to be on the rotation probably. Let's just enjoy the game and temper the expectations.
Just enjoy the ride. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. And remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're inching ever closer to 7,700 subscribers. 7777 is our goal. That's our next goal for sure. All right, let's get into today's show. We are going to be doing a NBA stock. Locked On Thunder, Rylan Stiles did this, and we stole it from him, and then we did it, and it didn't really work for us, and then they're doing it on Locked On NBA, and I think we figured out a way to do it. We're stealing some more from somebody else. Thanks to Ryan Russillo for the inspiration that both of us got separately as we were listening to his show. We're going to buy stock in players through every month, and we're going to do it based on box plus minus. Box plus minus is this one number that's given to players, and according to Basketball Reference, it's a box score estimate of the points per 100 possession a player contributed above a league average player, translated to an average team. So basically, it's how much are you contributing above what league average is. Kind of like wins above replacement a little bit, but more like contribution above replacement. And so we looked at this list. Sometimes it's flawed, right? You got guys up there that probably shouldn't be, but we're going to be buying and selling stock in these players. So, and it's basically just looking across the league saying, all right, who do we think is going to have a really good year this year? And who do we think is, we maybe going to have a worse year?
Yeah, and there's no perfect way to do this, right? I mean, we flirted with the idea of using PER. We looked at box plus minus. We looked at net rating a little bit, but all of them are kind of skewed in a way. So this is what we landed on. And if you want to follow along throughout the season, it's pretty simple. You just go to basketballreference.com. You go to leaders, and under leaders, click advanced. And for the season, obviously, click advanced, and you can go over the box plus minus. And mine just automatically does it. You might have to click the box at the very top that says, when the table is sorted, hide the non-qualifiers for rare stats. That takes away your Rob Williams of the world or Udonis Haslem being number 1 on this list.
Yeah,
so
guys
once
didn't play a lot, or
so once it's sorted, it's a pretty accurate list because, like, for instance, Nikola Jokic, MVP of the league, number 1 last year in box plus minus at plus 11.7. So it's, Jokic, Giannis, Steph, Jimmy Butler, LeBron, like it's a pretty accurate list at that point.
So then we're gonna take this. We're gonna get $100 each at the beginning of this month, and then we'll see how much money we get next month, and we'll only be able to sell.
Or we could lose money
a month from now, or we could lose money for sure.
For
And,
instance,
and then I'm going to tell you, I have an NBA. We're going to do 3 Mavericks and 3 general NBA players, and I have 1 NBA player that is an absolute home run. It's going to make me a bunch of money, and I'm going to tell you who it is coming up here. But yeah, we'll start with our Mavericks.
Well, so some more little rules on how we're doing this here. We obviously can't buy negative numbers in this. So the only players that are qualified for us to buy shares into are players with a positive box plus minus. So 0.1 on up to Nikola Jokic at 11.7. So this is not everyone in the league is available to buy shares in for us. It takes it down to 89 players at the moment. And we're doing this based off the end of last season. So last season, Ja Morant ended with a negative point something box plus minus. So he's not available to buy shares in right now. But when we revisit this a month into the season, he might be a positive, and then it's like, oh, okay, now we can buy shares into Ja Morant.
My first idea was to buy stock in Teo Maledon, who is minus 5.2, and then like when you buy it, then they give you money and to buy the stock.
So, all right, so if you had an example, what's an example?
Let's get into our Mavericks. So Luka Doncic, his box plus minus last year was 6.7, really good, one of the best in the league. It was up there. It was if you take out the qualifiers, number 8 in the NBA. The only guys higher than him were Jokic, Giannis, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, a little surprising, LeBron James, Joel Embiid, James Harden, and Luka, Kawhi after him, Damian Lillard, Zion. That's like the top 11. But yeah, Luka was up there at the top, 6.7. And so if I wanted to buy 10 shares of Luka Doncic stock, that'll cost me $67 because it's 6.7 times, the 10 shares that I want to buy. Easy math right there. That'd be $67. So then I'd have, like $33 left to play with, and then I'd be able to buy a couple others. We're just going to do 3 Mavericks and then 3 league players right now. And then we'll check in a month and see. And comment below which players you're buying stock in. You can do the same method as us, or just tell us which players you think are going to have great seasons this year that you're like all about.
Yeah.
All right. I'm buying stock in Luka Doncic. I am.
Ooh.
His box plus minus is 6.7. Like you said, I'm buying 11 shares of stock in him. So that's 73.7. I got all the math. I got all the math figured out on my end with my 3 guys. I'm buying stock in him because his box plus minus last year was like an 8.9 or something like that. I think he's going to, and we've seen the way that he's played in preseason. We've seen the way that he's played so far, and he's just going to run into the season, and maybe his box plus minus out of the gate is going to get back to that. Yeah, last year's 8.4. If he gets back to that, let's say it's crazy to start the year at 9 or something. I'm gonna sell at 9, right? Like I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna get out real quick in this Luka stock because I think his stock sort of took a slide at the end of the season statistically, at least in the regular season, and I'm gonna capitalize on it right here.
Yeah, there's a fun little guide, a little kind of general scale on Basketball Reference if you can basically find it, and it gives you a sense of where players land at. So it says on Basketball Reference like a plus 10 is like an all-time season. It literally says think peak Jordan, LeBron. Like Jokic had statistically last season an all-time type of season.
11.7. That's insane.
Insane. You look at a player around like a plus 8, that's an MVP season. A plus 6 is typically like an all-NBA season. Plus 4 is like an all-star consideration. So they kind of have the scale to give you a little sense of like, oh, okay, I think this player can maybe move up in the all-NBA scale and all of that. I'm with you on this as far as buying stock on Luka, because when you look at Luka just on that scale, 6.7, moving up, we both think that he's going to be in that MVP running. So I think it should at least take him up to that plus 8, at least like 1.5, 2 points in that. Now, if you're buying shares in something, you're going to want to make money too. So I didn't buy a ton into this. I bought 7 shares because there's someone else I put a lot of shares into for the Mavs. because we did 3 Mavs each. So I put $47 into Luka, 7 shares. We'll see what happens.
So that's how this is going to work. So I bought 11 shares. Isaac bought 7 shares. Let's say next month Luka is at 9, right? Then all of a sudden we made a whole bunch of money off of this, and we'll see how much money we come up with at the end. All right, coming up, we're going to get into some more. The rest of our Mavericks that we have, and then our league players. We're picking 3 league players as well that we think that we're going to buy stock in, that their stock is going up this year. They're down. They're depreciated, and we're going to get them while it's low. So we're going to talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Sleeper Fantasy. You're going into your fantasy season. You're hopefully listening to Locked On Fantasy Basketball because he's the GOAT right there. He knows what he's talking about. In 2018, this fantasy sports experts at Sleeper realized a problem. Fantasy basketball was broken. Games were being won and lost based on whose players had more scheduled games that week. The Mavericks only have like 2 games this week. It's only preseason, but only have 2 games. So why would you want to play against somebody and play Mavericks players against somebody that has 4 games from another team? So in 2020, Sleeper released a brand new way of playing fantasy basketball. It's called Game Pick, and it's only available on Sleeper. They cracked the fantasy basketball code. If you play fantasy, you prefer building a weekly strategy versus the daily, like, all right, I'm going to put this guy in, I'm going to put this guy in. You got to add drop all the time because one player plays less games. Download the Sleeper app and start a league with your friends today. Again, Sleeper, use Game Pick. Also, I want to tell you about DirecTV Stream. This is a way you can watch the Dallas Mavericks. This is huge this season. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game, another lets you stream your favorite TV shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends log in for the good stuff. You're watching Ted Lasso on that good stuff. You're watching you're watching good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. So you can watch your favorite sports, movies, shows, everything, all in one place. So get DirecTV Stream. Go to directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. All right, Isaac Harris, let's buy some more stock. We've already both bought shares in Luka Doncic. We're going to check it in a month to see what it looks like. We're going off of, again, box plus minus. This is a stat that a lot of sites have, but Basketball Reference definitely has it. I'll put a link in the description of the podcast so you can go look at other players' box plus minus, see what you want to buy stock in. But my next player I'm buying stock in is Jalen Brunson. I'm buying Brunson stock. His box plus minus was only a 0.05. And when you're doing this, you kind of have to look at these stats and be like, all right, who does it favor? It favors guys that have the ball in their hands. It does not favor the, wing players, the Reggie Jackson or the Reggie Bullocks, the Tim Hardaway Jr.'s. Tim Hardaway Jr. was like at 0.1, like just a really low, because it doesn't favor those like catch and shoot type guys. And so I'm buying stock in Jalen Brunson because I think it's going to go up for him. His box plus minus was a negative in his first 2 years, I believe. And so that's going way up. He's gone up every single year. It was negative 1.7 his rookie year, negative 0.9 his second year, and then a 0.5 his last season. So I think it's going up again. I think he'll double it. I'm buying 20 shares in Jalen Brunson stock.
I like it. I'm with you. Well, first off, there's only 4 players you can actually buy from the Mavs on this because there are only 4 players with a positive plus box minus. So now, a month into the season, will there be some other Mavs that we can actually buy shares into? We'll see. For Brunson, yes, I picked Brunson too, because the 4 Mavs you could pick from: Luka, KP, Brunson, Tim Hardaway, like you mentioned. I'm buying 50 shares into Jalen Brunson. $25 I'm putting on the Brunson. I think he's going to take another step in his career.
Yes.
Can I give you my third one?
Give me the third one.
My third one. You touched on it, but I'm going all in. 275 shares. I'm buying Tim Hardaway Jr. at 0.1. 0.1. Okay. This is my thing. At 0.1, I could drop 275 shares, $27.50 into Tim Hardaway. I'll make some money off that. I'm pretty confident in that. And I get the spot up shooters and all of that. But when you start looking up the list of some guys above him last year, they're just like in the 1 to 2 range, where that's still like making money right there. When you look at like Mikal Bridges, you're looking at guys. I had some other guys on my list here. Danny Green. Danny Green is on this list. Danny Green last year, 1.5. I'm not the greatest at math, but if Tim Hardaway can go from a 0.1 to a 1.5 like Danny Green was last year, I'm making some bank. So I'll take that was my all-in move right there.
Yeah,
275 shares in Tim Hardaway.
Okay, I didn't do as many as you, but I did 163 in Tim Hardaway Jr. as well. I just did the remaining shares that I had. I was going to do it in Dwight Powell, but then Dwight Powell wasn't qualified. He didn't play enough games. And so he was a guy that I thought could really raise his box plus minus. I think he's especially the first month of the season, he's going to have some really good stats. And I think his will raise a lot. Hopefully next month. Well, we'll see if I'm able to buy into it next month. But yeah, we bought the same players.
I thought I was going to be a little controversial not buying in Porzingis. He was at a +2.
So KP is available on this one.
2.0.
He is available on this one. His 2.0 box plus minus. But that was the highest in his career last year, right?
Yeah. So if you're in the camp that.
Yeah, it was 1.9 the year before in Dallas. That his MVP, his All-Star year in New York, it was 1.8. So statistically, he was doing just as much for the Mavericks as he was that year in New York. So I'm not sure that it's going to go up that much more. I'm going to make a bunch of money off of it based on this stat.
Yeah, it was just a stay away for me. I just got to, with everything, with the injury stuff, with offense stuff, I just need it. We're going to revisit this each month. Like if he kills it in this first month and he goes up just a little bit, but everything's looking really good, I might buy a few shares into Porzingis at that point. But right now, at the beginning of the season, it's a stay away for me.
All right, those are the Mavericks. Who do you think could get on this list? Who do we think we could be buying stock in?
Reggie Bullock or Dorian Finney-Smith. They barely missed the cut.
So Bullock was a negative 0.1. So he barely missed the cutoff. And like I said, it doesn't really value these wing players that don't necessarily have the ball in their hands, don't get a lot of boards, don't get a lot of assists. Like Dorian Finney-Smith was low as well. Same thing. Yeah. Harrison Barnes minus 0.2, right? If you want to compare a guy, Robert Covington minus 0.3. Aaron Gordon was a 0 on this. So it doesn't really value some of these guys like that. So that's just the statistic we decided to use. That one's an interesting one. Dwight Powell, again, for me, is an interesting one that we may revisit as well. He was like at almost a 1 on this. He's going to be efficient, and that's what this values efficiency.
Yeah, we just have to wait for him to have a positive number after the first month of the season.
All right, let's start diving into our league players. We went all across the league. There's a whole bunch of players. There's almost like 150, 200 players that we could have picked, could have chosen, and we went through and we're like, okay, let's pick players that we think are kind of undervalued right now. And I got one for you.
We agreed just to do 3 players, by the way. This is probably coming out really dumb sounding on a podcast format, but throwing out all these numbers. But you know what? It's part of it. We're having fun with it.
We're enjoying it. We're having fun. Let us know in the comments who you're buying stock in.
Oh, they will.
I'm buying stock in Pascal Siakam.
Oh, me too. He's one of my 3.
I'm buying a ton of stock. I'm buying 106 shares in Pascal Siakam.
Dang. Because I bought 50 shares.
Because his box plus minus is 0.4. It's the lowest of his career by far because this also takes into account team success. And the team wasn't really good around Pascal Siakam, and his numbers were a little bit down. And I think it's going to be a lot better for him this season. He's not going to be playing in Tampa. They're going to be better. He's just a player to watch in general because Lowry is gone. He's going to be asked to do a little bit more. Maybe this is the year he finally steps up into it and becomes a pseudo borderline all-star type player. Pascal Siakam is a guy that I'm looking at, not only just to buy stock in this exercise, but in the NBA in general.
Oh, me too. Great pick. I bought 50 shares in Siakam. I mean, these are guys around Siakam's range in box plus minus. Royce O'Neal, Devontae Graham, Jalen Brunson, Miles Turner, Rashawn Holmes, Miles Bridges, Cantor. These are all guys in that area. And I feel like we were just a year or so ago talking about Siakam as a young cornerstone of that franchise. So if he can have a bounce back year, he's going to skyrocket up this, and we're both going to make some money.
I'm feeling good about that. Another one of my NBA league players that I picked, Reggie Jackson.
Oh,
I put 101 shares into Reggie Jackson because
holy crap,
his box plus minus is 0.1. And
how good do you think he's going to be this year?
He's going to have the ball in his hands.
You bought all in too. I'm all here for this. I'm ready. I'm not putting any shares into him, but
first month of the season, I'm buying stock in just the idea that I think he's going to put up some numbers because the Clippers are going to need offense from somebody. Are they getting it from Eric Bledsoe? Obviously, you're getting it from Paul
Kennard.
Obviously, you're getting it from Paul George. Yeah, sure, Luke Kennard's going to bring it, but I think Reggie Jackson's going to be jacking up a bunch of threes like he did against the Mavericks. Wow. And I think that he's going to be definitely better than a 0.1. It's sort of the same thing I did with Tim Hardaway Jr. Is like, all right, if he's a 0.2 by the end of this, I earn like $102, right?
Okay, that's spicy.
All right, coming up, we're gonna get into some more of our picks. We got a couple more NBA picks we're making, and then we'll maybe talk about some of our teams that we were picking over-unders on. But we'll talk about all that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. Built Bar is a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They're absolutely delicious. They're great. I eat them all the time. I ordered a new box. You heard on the podcast the other day. As soon as I saw one was available, I had to order it. New flavor every single time I feel like I open the website. Apple Almond Crisp is available right now. That one sounds pretty good for fall. Guys, my wife freaked out. My wife freaked out the other day because we're hitting the high temperature in Dallas over this next week is like 70 degrees.
Yeah.
And we're getting into real fall. My wife immediately turned on Gilmore Girls, which is like as soon as fall hits, you turn on Gilmore Girls, you watch Friday Night Lights, and then you're like, all right, let me get my cider and all that. Apple Almond Crisp is perfect for that. That's the perfect flavor for fall, and that's what we're heading into. So if you want some of that, go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off. Again, Apple Almond Crisp. Go check it out. It's a good one. Built.com, promo code LOCKED15. All right, Isaac Harris, we're buying stock. We're using box plus minus. Link in the description of the podcast so you can see our chart that we're using to see what we're buying stock in. And all right, so we're buying stock in. I picked Reggie Jackson. We both picked Pascal Siakam. We're buying stock in. Give me another one of your players you're buying stock.
All right, 20 shares. I'm buying 20 shares at 1.9 in LaMelo Ball.
I did the same thing.
I'm all in. I'm all in on the Hornets. I love them. And LaMelo, I think he's going to push. Gosh, I want to say he's going to push the All-Star team this year, but there's a
lot of players in the East, man.
I know, but I mean, you look at players around 1.9. You're looking at DeLon Wright. You're looking at Kemba Walker.
You didn't have to say it like that.
You're looking at its brother, Lonzo, Malcolm Brogdon, Porzingis is right at 2.0. I just think LaMelo is going to move up this list, and I'm pretty confident.
Oh yeah, I wanted somebody I could root for that I was going to enjoy, but LaMelo Ball being all the way down there, I think he's just going to improve efficiency-wise. I think he's going to score a little bit more this year. I think he's just going to improve all the way across the board, and so that 1.9 is going to change a lot, right? Like Fred VanVleet is at 2.2. Like you mentioned DeLon Wright, Danny Green, Draymond Green, TJ McConnell is a 1.5 in box plus minus. I think he's really going to rise up this list.
I think he's going to be above a 3.0.
Oh, and we'll be making some money off of that. We'll be making some good money off of LaMelo Ball. So we picked two players, and we're surprised by this because we didn't tell each other what players we were picking at all. We didn't mention this at all. We went back and forth about the rules a lot, but we didn't mention any players.
So your three players league-wide, Siakam, LaMelo, and Reggie Jackson.
Yeah. Value pick Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, I have LaMelo. I also have Siakam.
And you got some money left here.
I do, and it's up. I went up the list a little bit. I tried not to just do all like under one. 3.0, Michael Porter Jr. I'm buying some stock in.
Yeah, this is a good one.
I think if Denver, I've been pretty vocal that I think Denver's going to be better than what some people think they will be. And I think they're going to have to have Michael Porter Jr. take a leap with Jamal Murray out.
Have to.
So he's my. Let me tell you how many shares I put in because
14. I just did the math. Yeah.
There you go. 14 shares, $42 puts me right at $100 spent between the three.
Yeah, there you go. We spent $100 for Mavs players, $100 for NBA players, and so you picked Michael Porter Jr., Pascal Siakam, LaMelo Ball. That's a good list of players that are going to rise up here. Reggie Jackson for me is the value pick because he was at a 0.1. LaMelo Ball and Pascal Siakam for me as well. I got some more skin in the game on Pascal Siakam, so I'm hoping Siakam really pays off here.
If someone ever asks you in school, you're like, "Hey, Why should I be learning math right now? I'm not going to do a career in math. You never know. You might host a podcast and do shares in a segment on buying into players.
Yeah, so those are the players we picked. All right, we also want to do some quick over-unders here. We're going to keep track of some of these throughout the season and pick, the BetOnline win totals, the over-under on wins, and then we're going to see where their percentage is a month from now and see if we still want to keep them or if we want to, move on to another team, team. My first one, we're picking the over-under. This is what BetOnline says their win total over-under is. So total wins for a team.
Okay, so these are basically like our locks.
I'm pounding this one.
All right.
Under.
Ooh.
Down the highway. The San Antonio Spurs. 29 and a half. This team is not winning 30 games.
I thought about it. I just couldn't do it with Pop.
It doesn't matter. They don't have any players.
I know it doesn't matter. We recorded
a season preview with all the bad teams in the NBA. We're calling it the Tankers. It's on Odyssey. You can go listen to the Odyssey Ultimate NBA preview show. The Tankers episode will be up on Tuesday. And I watched Jeff Garcia as he was talking about his team, the San Antonio Spurs, just like melt into a puddle of sadness, talking about, all right, who are the players to watch? What's the long-term vision for your team? And he just didn't have answers for either of them. And I was like, this team is just it's not going well for this team. Maybe they'll win 25 games, 28 games, but I'm still winning on that if they go under 29 and a half.
See, Pop is a stay away for me. Like,
to do what?
If they won 35 games next year, I'm not
not playing.
He's not playing, but he's still. I feel like every year we just try to say like, hey, they're gonna tank. They're gonna be so bad. And they probably will. I thought you were going to go down a different highway.
They won 38 games last year with DeMar DeRozan, and he's gone.
Yeah. So,
33 games. I'm sorry, 33 games last year with DeRozan, and he's gone. DeRozan is worth less than 4 wins?
No, I think they will, be that. I'm just not willing to bet on that. I can't bet on Pop being.
And Patty Mills is gone, and Rudy Gay. So they lost Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, DeMar DeRozan.
Aldridge.
It's all... Aldridge is already gone, but for most of the year. You're betting on a lot of these young guys.
Doug McDermott. Let's go.
I'm slamming that under. All right, give me your first one.
I thought you were going down a different highway. I'll slam the under on Houston.
That's a good one. Yeah. I played the bait and switch there on the Rockets one.
26.5. I'll take the under on that. I
just think they're trying for it.
I just, when you're looking at the worst teams in the league, bottom 3 teams, they're going to play all their young guys. Yep. It's them, Orlando. I'm not willing to put any money on Cleveland. Cleveland could be good for all I know. I almost bet the over on them, but I think Houston's one of the worst 3 teams in the league.
Yeah, and they have a ton of talent, but that talent is going to make a ton of mistakes. I was watching them the other day. They were playing the Heat, I think, and it just was like, okay, they do something good, and then they do 2 things bad.
Yeah.
Possession after possession. They got a lot of fun players and all that, but Mavs fans can be happy that they're going to be bad. All right, my next team, I'm pounding the over. Ooh. 43 straight, not even a half. Chicago Bulls, they're going to win. They're going to be over 500.
Oh, this is spicy too.
They're going to be over 500. Their offense is at least going to be good enough for them to win 45 games, at least.
I'm just really worried about their defense.
Their defense is going to be bad for sure, but we've seen really good offenses like the Mavericks in the past get good enough for them to win over 43 games, and I think that's what they're going to do.
Oh, I like it. Okay. I thought about them for a second. I just couldn't be as confident as you are.
There's just a lot of talent on that team.
There's a lot of talent. I just want to know what DeRozan's doing when Levine has the ball, because DeRozan can't shoot threes. And
he played with Kyle Lowry for a while.
True. Yeah, true.
Made it work with Aldridge.
Pat Williams is already out. That's their best defender.
We'll see.
We'll see. I just wasn't as confident.
If Donovan can figure out the staggering where he's like, all right, they always are going to have one all-star offensive guy at all times between Vooch, DeRozan, Levine, right? There's always going to be somebody like that.
I'll take another team in that same grouping in the East and with lesser talent, but I'll take the over 42.5. I'll take Indiana.
Ooh, Rick Carlisle's Indiana. You're going over.
I am. We all know how good of a coach Rick is as far as X's and O's, and he's gonna want to win games next year too. And the roster's not horrible, so I think he'll with Sabonis, Brogdon, those guys. I think he'll win a lot of games. Well, I say a lot, but more than
42.
Slide over 43, 44.
So the injury stuff is always concerning for that team. It just seems like the TJ Warren is kind of already
LeVert.
Not sure what to. Yeah, LeVert. He's always seems to be hurt. But yeah, if they stay healthy, Carlisle should be able to organize them well enough that they'll be better than that too. That they'll be definitely 5 wins above 500. They can do that.
Yeah, something like
that. All right, my last one. I'm going under. I'm not a believer. 48 wins. This is almost 50 wins if you're going to go the over.
If you're going under on Dallas, I'm going to fight you.
The Golden State Warriors.
Oh, okay.
Well, why should I believe in this Golden State Warriors team right now?
Why should you not?
Because Clay's not going to be there. They didn't really add any.
They have Eugene Omoruyi 2.0.
They're gonna no, that's Eugene Omoruyi 1.0. Eugene Omoruyi is Eugene Omoruyi 2.0. But they don't have Klay Thompson. James Wiseman is going to be missing some time too, so they're not really even helping him step forward. They got 2 rookies that are going to be in their rotation probably. Otto Porter Jr. and Nemanja Bjelica were their big offseason acquisitions. We got the whole thing with Wiggins. I guess he's going to play, but like there's all kinds of weird stuff with them. And so 48 wins, that's a lot. Steph Curry's out for like 2 weeks or something like that. They're going they're going under that.
I think I'm a little bit more confident in them, just their infrastructure. And, if they can just stay 500 until Clay gets back, I think that's their goal, right? I mean, and I just don't want to bet against Steph and Draymond. I feel like they finished the season okay last year. Then you add in some of these, guys, and I don't know. I just think they can hold the fort until Clay gets back. That's
okay. We'll see.
But I'm not like I'm not putting money on them. That's not like a guarantee for me. If they're under that, I'm not shocked. If they're like 4 games over that, I'm not shocked either.
Yeah, I'm not putting money on them. I'm putting it against them. I'm putting it on them to be under 40. They can win 47, 46 games, 45, and I'm still going to win this.
Yeah. Okay, I had 2 more, so I'll do them really quick. They're both in the East. Philly.
No,
under.
we did 3 each. You've already done 2.
I did 4. I'm sorry.
You picked Philly?
Philly under.
We don't know anything about them.
That's why I'm picking the under. Like, I'm not confident that they're gonna get like a star player with Ben Simmons, and then now you're just banking your whole season on the health of Joel Embiid, and so I'm taking the slight under on that. But the biggest one I'm taking the over on Milwaukee Bucks 54.5.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one.
So if you just want to do 3 for me, do the Bucks. Other than Philly. And I just think they're going to be a monster regular season team. I think they took a step as a team, obviously, when they won the title. And in a weird way, I feel like they're just getting overlooked by people, and they won the freaking title. And they're like bringing their main guys back. And Giannis is arguably the best player in the league. So, but I don't feel like they're ever getting mentioned because you get the juggernaut teams of Brooklyn. You obviously have the Lakers and stuff. So I think they're going to be kind of weirdly inspired this year.
Yeah, that team, I went over and I initially picked Brooklyn instead of Golden State. I wanted to go the over on Brooklyn because theirs was 55.5.
That Kyrie stuff.
There's a lot of stuff with Kyrie and then injuries with them, but they only had those 3 guys play together 8 games last year. So if they get 25 games of those guys together, then they're definitely going over 55.5. And then Milwaukee, I was like, this team is too good for them to be 53 wins or just 50 wins or something like that. They'll go over that. They'll go 55 wins.
Yeah, I think so too.
Especially with the Nets kind of, pushing them along. There's at least somebody to challenge them. Everybody's saying the Nets are better than them. So,
yeah. I mean, the Hawks could be challenging them.
That's what I'm feeling. I guess they could. I mean, I don't know. I'm not picking them. There you go. That's our stock. Hopefully it made sense to you. Hopefully you enjoyed it.
Somebody's in the YouTube chats right now saying, why is there so much math today?
Talking about this. Who wants to talk about graphs in a hoops conversation? So yeah, guys, we'll be checking back in this in the month. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs, making us your first listen every single day. Now go make your second listen, Locked On Fantasy Basketball with the great Josh Lloyd. He's got incredible stuff. He did some amazing stuff over the weekend. Go check it out for your fantasy draft. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.